Yo, can you hear me? You listening to
WAW. What a week.
Hi, welcome to another episode of WOW What a Week. This week, hanging out with one of the coolest dudes you'll ever meet. He was an accountant, and now he does nail grooming. Some of the best food in town, some of the best nightlife in town. Grows a bit of cannabis here and there, and it's not why my eyes are red. I'll explain about my eyes a bit later. And even does a bit of mining. Coming up next, be inspired.
This is WOW! What a week. What a week. Celebrity guest. Celebrity guest.
Welcome to episode 201 of WOW What a Week. The guy we're chatting to today, pardon the pun, is a cut above the rest. Please welcome and make some noise for Shawn, Barber. Or some of you know him as Shawn Rockheads.
Shawn Rockets.
Sawubona, Shawn Rockheads.
Ninjani ufresh.
Ukahle. Uyaphila, Shawn Rockheads. How you doing, brother, man?
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me here. Even though I'm not special, being number 200.
Dude, 201 is a special number.
Really?
Because now you know I've got 200 experiences of how not to do this interview.
Okay. No, I don't buy it. Number 2 would be better. But
This always works with the girls.
that's, no, calling a girl number 200 is not going to work for her. I promise you. Not that I would know.
Shawn 101, born and raised where?
Durbs.
Yeah.
Durbs on the beach.
Tell us about life in Durban and how Joburg called.
Life in Durban was good, eh?
Yeah.
It was, my dad was a surfer, so a lot of the weekends were on the beach.
Jeez.
And, yeah.
So you had a tan from like the minute you popped out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Not good now though, but you feel so. I had something removed, and the skin doctor said to me, "Were you on the beach a lot as a kid?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yep." He said, "Well, everything that you're gonna experience now is what you did 0 to 18 years," and I'm like, oof.
Jeez.
"Yeah."
So what did they remove?
It was a BCC basal cell carcinoma, but I got it early.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not good, but not bad.
Yeah.
You know.
But also you're at that age where you're like, fuck, I didn't know I had a pain. I could get a pain here.
Yeah. Blame the bed. It's my wife's bed. The bed sucks, but I think it's
Yeah.
so sore.
Tell us
yeah,
about
just
your parents. What kind of parents did you have?
Parents were cool.
Yeah.
Chilled. I went to public school.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have much growing up, so we were cool.
Mm.
My brother was very different to me, very academic, like massively academic.
Sure.
And
And where's he now?
in the UK,
Okay.
yeah, double specialty doctor.
Jeez.
He's a surgeon and a radiologist.
Fuck.
So some shoes.
Yeah.
You know, and then I don't know. It was different.
Mm.
You know, we were on the beach a lot, but I was told to take school seriously,
Yeah.
which I did up to a point.
Mm.
And then I started getting a little bit wild, I think, when I was 15, 16.
Yeah. Don't we all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I took a rugby injury when I was 15, and then I wasn't allowed to run for 4 years.
Mm.
You know, so it was hard. I mean, it was grade. Now it's grades. I still think in standards.
Yeah.
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 So it was grade 9. So it was a rugby injury playing this, can I say Dutchman school?
So you
Playing this Afrikaans school, and this I took a big hit. I was fly off, and then I couldn't bend over after that game, and the next 4 years of my life were tough. So it
couldn't
was
run for 4 years.
not a lot of run for 4 years. So you go from being captain of your team
Yeah.
on the one night, and the
Sure.
next morning at school you're in a back brace,
Mm.
and you're carrying a back brace around for the next 4 years. It was heavy.
But now you run shit, so it's fine.
Oh, you know, so I ended up being fucking wild. I ended up throwing a lot of parties and doing stuff, and that's probably what led me into being in the profession that I'm in. Was the parties that I threw and stuff like that. You know, so everything happens for a reason.
How did accounting happen?
Accounting happened. Well, my brother was the doctor,
Yeah.
and he was the older one,
Sure.
so I didn't want to do that.
Mm.
And then, although he's got zero bedside manner, so I should have been that. Yeah. Fucking zero. But
Yeah,
I'll say it to his face.
Yeah.
So then I studied marketing. And then in my second year, I was at UCT doing business science, and a tutor said to me, "Why are you doing marketing?" And I said, well, I'm creative and I did this and this and this.
Yeah,
And I said,
yeah.
you know, you've got good accounts marks. Why did you become an accountant? And I said, because I don't want to be an accountant. And he said, well, an accountant could always do a marketer's job. A marketer could never do an accountant's job.
Exactly.
And I went home and that stuck with me. And the next day I went to, you know, the dean's office and I changed my degree. And then I strapped into being a CA. And once I start something, I'm going to finish it.
Yeah.
So I got that bit between my teeth. I hated every second.
Yeah.
But I thought I'm in it, you know. So it's pretty much the best business degree you can get.
Sure.
You know. But it's gonna stifle your creativity. It's gonna it's gonna kill you if you stay in it.
Sure.
But if you enter it to know that you're gonna exit one day.
Yeah, use it as a means to an end.
Yeah. You know, and it's for an entrepreneur, it's golden.
Yes.
It's really golden, man. And you can say, no, I do my MBA and whatever. I would say your chartered accountant's degree.
Yeah.
And I did double honors, business science, finance, and then accounts.
Jeez.
You know, and then GDA. And then
So you're almost your brother.
No. Not even close. That's like sit in the corner type of thing.
Yeah.
But it just went from there, you know. And the grounding was good. The grounding was good. The basics and the analytics in terms of when you judge a business and what you put in place. You know, the controls that I have in restaurants and clubs are very similar to the controls that I would have if I was manufacturing widgets.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's the process flow that it forces into you. So it was good.
Would you say being captain of your rugby team at the age of 15 were the first signs that you will lead a team one day? Because that's what you're doing now.
Yeah. I played sport from a young age. I was always captain of my teams.
So you're always the jock.
Yeah. I would look, when you get injured and you're carrying a back brace around, you're not a jock anymore.
From jock
you
to
go
joke.
from hero to zero, jock to joker. Yeah. Like, you do not have the cool status. Like, what's that in your bag? No, you got such a back brace. So I know how it feels. Fuck, I know how it feels to lose it all. But and I realized that at a young age. But there was an aptitude for leadership. You know, I'm not saying that I was a great leader. You know, when you realize with hindsight is an exact science. I'd like to think more than likely now I'm a lot better than I was when I was in my 20s or 30s or 40s. You know,
Sure.
But there was an aptitude to lead there. You know, I think Rockets is now 450 employees.
Absolutely.
So, and we have a very flat management structure. So there's, you know, we have a small leadership team, so it's good.
Like rugby also breaks your back, right?
Yeah. Yeah, nearly. I did break my neck in a car accident. But yeah.
So you finish at UCT and then what happens?
Finished at UCT, and then went, this Deloitte had this overseas secondment program called
yes,
Just in Time. And I made, I wasn't a very highly ranked medical clerk by any means.
Sure.
I think they tried to fire me a couple of times and they hated me there, man. They really hated me there. So, but I managed to make a move and get sent to New York for those 3 months, for those secondments.
Yeah.
And then in New York, I realized, I was like, hey, it doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah.
If you know, I hate what I'm doing here. I'm in New York City, you know. This is one of the coolest cities on earth, and I really hate what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to hate it when I studied it. But then in the States, you're not even seen as here, it's 8 years.
Yes.
You know, if you go business science, finance honors, it's 8 years. If you do the BCom, it's 7 years. But it's that long degree. In the States, it's 3 years undergrad and then a 1 year postgrad. Yeah. And then 2 exams. So there you're like a certified accountant. You're not actually a chartered accountant.
Yes.
It's different. Yes. And I thought, you studied all this time to do something I hate, and in America it's not even recognized. It was disheartening. So I thought, hey man, I'm not going to do this. I'm just not going to do this. And then I finished my 3 months of comments, and then I started traveling. Yeah. Me and a mate around the States. And then we got into some real trouble in Texas.
How long did you travel for?
3 or 4 months. I was going to do a season in Ibiza, actually, behind the bar.
Oh, yes.
That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to just take a year off and do a season.
So you're how old at this stage?
Now I am, 5 years. So I finished school 17, and then
Yeah.
it was 22, and then 3 years articles 25. I just turned 26, and then we went.
Rumor has it you fought cops.
Yeah. Did I tell you this? Shit. You and I spend too much time together. You know what I mean?
Rumor has it that you are such a loyal guy. If your friend is fighting the police, we are fighting the police.
Yeah. I'll never let a man stand alone. I'm going to be there. I'm just going to deuces, you know?
Okay, so your friend got into shit with the cops?
Yeah.
And then you jumped in?
Look, we were two single guys, 25.
Yeah.
We were in Texas. The accent works.
Yeah.
You know? So there were 12 sorority girls with us, just the two of us. And I don't think and we're in Austin, Texas on 6th Street, which is known to not like foreigners very much.
Oh, yes.
And we were there. And then this mate of mine started getting body checked on the dance floor. And he came and he said, this is what's going on. And these jacked oaks. I'm like, dude, you know, we can go down in a ball of flames, or you've got 12 sorority girls. Yeah. What do you choose? He's like, let's go somewhere else. I'm like, great decision. Let's go. And then as we were walking out there, I got to the exit of the club. I turned back and they bottled him.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know that half were bouncers and half were undercover cops.
Oh, shit.
The cops in the States, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, it's as bad as you hear the stories, especially in Texas. There's that don't mess with Texas.
Absolutely.
Shit.
Yeah.
And those cops, they were beating him. So I just went in there, guns blazing. Ended up being 6 of them.
Jeez.
Yeah. And
who won?
Not me. Not me. I did what I could, but next thing I know, I'm like, we're all here fresh.
Sure.
So I was handcuffed and then dragged out by my ankles through this club like this, and then the police tasered me outside. I remember being next to one of those. They were on the horseback as well. I'm like, fucking Texas.
Typical cowboys.
Yeah, I'm like, there's a horse.
Oh, am I drunk?
I'm like, what's going on? These horses all around. And then I was cuffed, and the police tasered me in the small of my back. Like,
wow.
You know, police taser in the States is, I don't know how many volts that thing is.
Yeah.
It was like, dong, like a banana. I had 3 like, they took chunks out of my skin. That taser is so hectic. Fuck. I'm like, I don't know what the hell I've done that deserves this. Anyway, and then they put me in, take me to I don't know what, I was in Austin, so Austin Penitentiary there.
Yeah.
And they booked me. I still thought Justin would be in more shit. I thought I might have like a public disorder, misdemeanor. No. Oof. I had 6 felony assault charges on police officers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 6. My bail. This is 2004? No, 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing breakfast.
50, you were doing breakfast.
I was doing breakfast at Y, yeah.
I was doing breakfast in a 6x6. With orange overalls.
So you guys then get deported?
No. So D gets off, Justin gets off, and I didn't even start this shit. Like, he gets off and everything. I've got 6 felony accounts.
So he got off scot-free?
Scott.
Wow.
You know? I don't know. Anyway, so I've got these 6 massive charges. My bail was $15,000. I had to phone my dad.
Yeah.
And get it wired. He didn't have it at the time. We had to make a plan. And I found what's called a bail bondsman there.
Yes. It's big business there. Yeah.
Big business.
Yeah.
I got out like 3 days later. And then I was like, you know, when I find that an injustice has been committed, then I'll fight it.
Sure.
You know, and I'm like, what they've done to me is wrong. What they were doing to him was wrong. That's why I went in there to help him.
Absolutely.
You know, he didn't deserve that beatdown. And equally so, I didn't deserve what's happened to me. And these guys, we searched their names through the next couple of months. All those cops had assault charges against them. You know, but I was indicted. And I thought, I'm gonna fight this. I got a lawyer and I fought it for 2 years. But literally, I fought that for 2 years.
And then you were stuck there for 2 years.
No. So I had to go to London and work as a chartered accountant because I had to pay for legal fees.
Oh, yes.
You know?
Yes.
I had to.
Yeah.
No one else is going to pay for them. I had to pay back the $15,000 bail.
Jeez.
Then my lawyer's deposit was $10,000. I was already in for $25,000.
Yeah.
And I thought, shit, I've got this degree. The degree is very much recognized in London. Let me gap it to London.
Yeah.
And I fought it for 2 years. They eventually dropped the charges.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They dropped them. Like, they had no case
Yeah,
at the end of the
yeah.
day. It was bullshit.
Mm.
So, but then it left me with quite a strong distaste for, at that time, for what had happened to me. So, and London was good to me. I enjoyed
Sure.
London,
Mm.
you know. And it's funny how things work, because if I'd done a season in Ibiza, who knows where my life would have taken me.
Absolutely.
But when I was in London, I met my wife.
Yes.
You know, so if I didn't have jumped to
And
save
as
my
fate
mate,
would have it, she's Spanish.
yes, imagine. But if I didn't have jumped to save my mate, that wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have had to go to London, and I wouldn't have met my wife, and I wouldn't have had my 3 kids now.
And we wouldn't be sitting here.
We wouldn't be sitting here. So if that hadn't happened, you know, and I'm very happy where the life that I've had. I'm very happy. So.
How does it work when you have a situation like that in the US? Like afterwards, like do they put a black mark in your passport? Are you allowed back?
Well, they say you don't. Okay,
Yeah.
so but you do.
Yeah.
You know, you can go, but you know, you'll see at customs, you'll see the hand go on and go. Bang,
There'll be an alert. There'll be an alert.
the
Yes.
alert, and then he's got these 2 oaks next to you saying, "Can we speak to you?" And then you know, so that happens, but they got no reason to deny your entry. But
And then when does it expire?
meant to be after 5 years, but it's still there.
Yeah.
You know, it's still there. It's like it's not going away. It's on the system.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's on the system, even though you did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
That's how unfair the judicial system can be there. Like, you get arrested there, it's in the States, it's always, and if you get arrested, you did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
You know, that's why the police have such a bad rap there, because they arrest for nothing. I saw it. I lived it firsthand.
Yeah. And you're a white male.
Yeah, imagine.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they, I mean, yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. A friend of mine, you know, got first-hand experience of the system in the US, where her lawyer was very clear to her that you are in a very Republican southern state. You're a black girl. Your jury is most likely to be all white. Plead guilty, do a year in jail, and they'll deport you and you're fine. If you don't plead guilty and you fight it, you're going to do 5 to 10. So just plead guilty, because the jury are going to find you guilty just looking at you.
What?
Yeah.
And what did she do?
That's the system. She pled guilty. She did a year and then she was deported after that.
Yeah, I mean, my mom, God bless her soul, she's not with me anymore, but she said, please just don't go back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm going to fight this thing, man.
Sure.
But I was looking at 15 years,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
15
Imagine
years.
rockets at Rikers.
Yeah. It's easy with the uniform. It just all look the same. But I was looking at 15 years. And then even my lawyer said, like, why don't you just don't come back?
Just let it go.
I said, I'm going to have kids one day.
Yes.
Okay? And they're going to want to maybe go to New York or go to Disney World or something. And I can't go. Dad's got a record there. Sorry, no can do. I don't want to have that over my head. If I had done something wrong, sure.
Different story.
Different story. No problem. And I'll take the L. But
Yeah.
no, never. So I fought it.
In fact, while we're here, let's talk about loyalty. What does loyalty mean to you?
Loyalty is
Because you're big on loyalty.
massive. You're massive. You know, you talk of who's that author that wrote the seven love language sounds, or the sounds of love language, or whatever, like these words of affirmation, there's gifting, there's touch, you know, there's that type of thing. I don't need any of that shit.
Yeah.
I need loyalty, because I give it in spades.
Sure.
You know, and I find these days with the human race the way it is, loyalty is the scarcest resource. You know, it really is, man. And I've had my back against the wall, and the amount of when chips are down, you see, you know, chips are, in times are tough, friends are few.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And yeah, I've been let down. The loyalty that I give, I very rarely get back.
Sure.
You know, it's a mistake of mine. It's probably a character flaw.
I think we have similar problems. I'm the kind of guy that is so loyal that if someone does wrong to you, I write them off immediately.
Yeah.
And often the same people whose corner I'd take end up making up with said person.
Yeah.
But I can't, because they fucked you around, so they must die.
Yeah.
I mean it figuratively. I'm not out here trying to murder people.
Yeah.
But that's the level of how flawed my loyalty is.
Like, I'm like that. If they wrong you, they wrong me.
Yes.
You know, and then that's done. And once I write someone off, I write them off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's, as you said, it's happened to me countless times. And then they make up and they're good, you know. And I was in your corner, and then suddenly I'm the bad guy.
And because I can't fake a smile, you know I don't like you when I look at you and the way I look at you.
Yeah.
So you guys might have made up, but fuck. I'll if you're falling off a cliff and I was left with one fuck, and giving you that fuck
Yeah.
would save your life, you're dying.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's and I'm not gonna the bad experiences that I've had with people letting me down when I'm so loyal to them. I'm not gonna let that change me.
Sure.
I'm just more selective now. You know what I mean? And I'll teach my kids the same principles that I live by.
Sure.
Which is honor and respect and integrity and loyalty. But I'll teach them to be wiser with who they give it to.
Absolutely.
Because I wasn't, and some of the people, even in Rockets, that have let me down.
I know.
And that was heartbreaking.
If they were falling off a cliff, I'm sorry, they must die.
I wouldn't give them a fake hat.
Or a hand with a fucking buzzer.
Yeah.
The taser you took, and have it in my hand.
Yes, present for you. Your table's ready down the bottom.
When they get down there, they find a Rockets menu.
Yeah. Aim for the star. I'll give them a cap.
Fuck.
Right down.
So you go to London, you work hard so that you can pay for legal fees in the US. You meet an incredible woman. And not only is she an incredible woman, she's also a very cool chick.
Yes.
And not every incredible woman is a cool chick.
Yeah. But, I met her. So it was like 2 or 3 years in, but I was wild there, because I was doing, it's the same way I got wild at school when I couldn't play rugby.
Yes.
In London, I was working as a CA, and I started at Merrill Lynch in banking, and then I went into, fuck, this sucks. Let me get into advertising. I got into advertising. It was a company called Media Square then, and also not good at it. I was like, because I hated it, and then I ended up working for Paramount Pictures. Owned by Viacom. Funny enough, I have a lot of Viacom functions here, and they love the fact that I worked for Paramount.
Oh, yes, your family.
Yeah. So it goes in roundabouts. I mean, who would have thought? But I realized I had a super cool boss, and I was working for Paramount Pictures. And then it kind of like he tried to promote me, and my promotion would have meant a lot of travel to and from the States. But I was fighting that shit at the time. So I had to tell him. And then it kind of like put a cap on my career there. You know what I mean? I can't blame him. He stopped putting me forward, and it made me realize, actually, I don't mind that he's not putting me forward anymore.
Yeah.
Because I hate what I do. I might be going to red carpet events every week and movie premieres and stuff like that. But Monday to Friday, I'm still crunching numbers.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with crunching numbers. To all the CAs out there, the world can't turn without you. So please don't take offense. But for me, it's just... It was killing me, It was killing me. And then, but in that time, I was wild and I was going to parties, and I went to a fancy dress party. Can I say anything on here?
You can say anything, bro.
Okay, let's go. I went to a fancy dress party. I was dressed like a nun.
Okay.
Fishnet stockings, high heels, and
is it because you like missionary?
No, I had good legs and stockings, bro. Great legs. You know those stocking ads, most of them are guys' legs, by the way.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
My daughter asked me, Dad, how do I get my legs to look like yours?
Yeah.
I was like, you're fine the way you are. You're 15. Why do you want legs like mine?
Yeah. Anyway, so I had fishnet stockings, mini skirts, hair, makeup. I had this fucking fake Black Panther. I was a real badass.
Well, she dressed as a pastor and looked past you.
No, it was a proper Panther. Sylvia.
Yeah.
No, Sylvia.
Because you're not a boy. She's like...
I must make you one. She actually said, fuck, you got nice legs. I'm like, you damn right, I got nice legs in my high heels. Yeah. And then she was with her three friends, and we were drawing.
Yeah.
And a couple of party favors.
Yeah.
And then turns out Sylvie's dead against it, but her friends came to me in their broken English. Like my wife could speak, but these were her friends visiting from Spain. And they were like, you like to party? I'm like, oh. I understand enough to know what you want. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I can help.
Yeah.
There were like 3 little seals, like, oh, it's like 1, 2, 3, like this. So and I'm like, have fun, bro.
Yeah.
But I was, I was with my girlfriend at the time, and I don't cheat, but I couldn't that one Spanish girl who's pretty straight-laced, who doesn't like to do what you three have just done.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one, But anyway, we left, and then it turns out, and for 2 years. I didn't see her for 2 years.
After that?
After that.
Jeez.
And I went to another party, and she came up to me, and she's like, "You the nun." You know, and it was
the nun with the nice legs.
I remembered. It was like lightning hit me. I'm like, "Jeez, I remember this is Spanish."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "You motherfucker, you gave my friends pills."
Yeah.
And she said, "I didn't want to leave until 7 a.m. and I was so tired." I'm like, "Yeah, that was the nun." "Yeah, I'm the nun. I'm the nun." And then literally 2 months after that, I moved back to Open Rockets.
Oh, wow.
And then 6 months, still with that same girlfriend.
Oh, okay. So you
with the same
you and Sylvie didn't start anything.
We didn't
then.
hook up at all.
Yeah.
Still with the same girlfriend. I moved back to start Rockets.
So what year was this?
She came back with me, 2007.
Okay.
And I came back, I didn't know what to do. I was like, okay, cool. I landed here in July, and I went to a couple of commercial brokers, property brokers, started to find a site. It was hard to find a site. So I eventually found one like 3 months later. And then started building Rockets.
Yeah.
And then opened 5th of December 2007. And that chick that I was with 6 months into it said to me, "It's me or the restaurant. I can see the restaurant's a priority in your life.
Sure.
And if I was your soulmate, I wouldn't be feeling like this. Like
so
second best."
So she would have had a hernia if you'd said, "Oh, now I'm going to open one in Durban."
Yeah, I'm going to do this for 17 more years. So she said, "Unless I'm made to feel like I'm number one, I'm out of here." I said, "If you were my soulmate, you wouldn't make me choose. You
Absolutely
just have my back."
In fact, you would walk the journey with me.
100%. And then, so that was it.
Yeah.
She went her way. I went my way. And then...
Do you ever meet? Or like bump into each other?
She actually banged a mate of mine like 3 weeks later.
Oh, wow.
Back. And I saw him once, like 6 months. He tried to say sorry. I'm like, "Bro, I should thank you."
In fact, thank you.
I said, "Never talk to me again, you dick." But thank you.
Sure.
But like in that period afterwards, I could never get my wife out of my mind. So I never really enjoyed Facebook, but I knew that a friend knew her.
Yes.
Somewhere. So I went through like a bit of a stalker, you know. I went through the Oak's friends one by one. And then I saw her, and then so I messaged her. I'm like, "Do you remember the nun?"
Yeah.
You know? And then the answer, funny enough, the answer came back like immediately on Facebook Messenger. And then we started chatting, and then she said, "Okay, cool. Can we go for a coffee tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Not likely. I live in SA now." And she had done a modeling job at Sun City, and they'd gone into the safe in the hotel room and stolen all of her stuff and cloned her and taken her cards and wiped her out. So that was her first experience with South Africa. So
Jeez. Was this before she'd met you?
Yeah, before she met me. Literally a couple of months before I messaged her. And then I said to her, that doesn't make a country, man. Relax. It's the greatest country on earth. You'll see one day, you'll see. And then I went to see her 2 months later. And then she came to see me. And 8 months later, she immigrated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. From that time. From the time that I made contact with her.
Yeah.
Facebook, 8 months later.
So this is 2000 and?
That was 2008.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, when Facebook was still a baby, it's like a year or two old kind of.
Yeah, and then married in 2010.
What do you think it was about her that she never left your mind? And the reason I ask this is I'm a firm believer in if you're meant to be with someone, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Like the earth can move, the planets can shift, but you always somehow gravitate back towards the person you might have had your eye on. Yeah.
Look, I believe souls travel together.
Yes.
You know, I believe in past lives and many lifetimes, you know. It was like I'd known her.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I do believe that sometimes you think, well, look, it's very convenient for most of these people to have found their soulmates in the same town, you know what I mean? But I don't know, with us it was two different people from far or other places on different languages, you know, and it somehow came together. But you know, there could be a couple of people, not maybe just one, but a couple of people in your life that you'll meet.
Sure.
It'll feel like lightning is struck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a feel. If you feel that with someone, you must explore it.
And often you feel it from the get-go.
Straight away,
like from the get-go.
Yeah, you will get like that feeling in your stomach.
Yeah,
you know, and you must. That's a special feeling. You must explore that.
I partied with you guys twice in Ibiza.
Ibiza, mate.
And it's always fascinating how when we're speaking English, but when she breaks into Spanish, I'm like, geez, this is the same person.
Yeah. She learned English in Essex and Romford.
Yeah.
So, it took me a while to get that accent out of her, but it's finally gone. But she's, English is her third language.
Sure.
So it's Spanish, Italian, English.
In your humble opinion, what do you think it was about you that she saw? Apart from the nice nun legs.
The nice nun legs.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a rawness about me, I think. I'm not a Ponzi European. The guys, we built different from this continent. You know what I mean?
That's actually one of the first things I've always noticed about you.
Yeah.
That you are always understated.
Yeah.
Like always understated. And for a guy who owns a couple of grooming shops, you wear your stubble and it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you pull it off.
Yeah, I'm chill.
People could be popping bottles. You'll just have a beer.
Always. I don't buy into that.
Yeah.
So
you sell the hype, you don't buy into the hype?
Look, no, the hype is fun. I'm not saying I haven't. I mean, look at us in my birthday in Mainland.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's nice to dip into it once in a while. I buy into the product that we give and I buy into the aspect that it provides. But me personally, I don't need all that. I don't need fame. I don't need anything. I need my family. And that's it. And right next to that, I don't need, to be groomed. I like dressing in stuff that collectively is worth less than 400 Rand.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. You're the kid raised by the beach in Durban.
Yeah. Yeah. When Steve Jobs died, you know what he said on his deathbed?
Yeah.
You probably do know this.
What? Take my polo necks and burn them.
I'm sorry for being so bad to waiters. No, he said, I've accumulated unbelievable wealth and power in my life, and I've learned two things. The first thing I've learned now, lying on my deathbed in hospital, is that you can have all the money and power in the world, and it can't buy your health.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't buy your health.
Yeah.
Man. You can maybe prolong it, but if your time is up, your time's up.
Absolutely.
The second thing he said was, I would give it all up to spend more time with my family. And that's where I battle in restaurants. I mean, I've worked 100 hours a week for 17 years. You know what I mean? It's been tough. I've managed to balance.
Sure.
I embraced the flexible nature of the hours of restaurateuring, but yeah, I've grafted. I think someone who wasn't as raw and humble as me wouldn't have grafted as hard as I have. You know what I mean? So maybe my wife saw that, because she herself is from very humble background.
Sure.
The Spanish is a lovely culture. It's very family orientated.
Yes.
And I gravitate towards that. So I think there was an immediate connection there.
That's another thing I love and appreciate about you, that even in a room full of powerful people, you'll often understate your position in society.
Yeah.
A lot of people with all that you've managed to amass would want people to know who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
But you're not that guy.
No. I don't give a fuck for that.
Yeah.
Guy. I don't care about that. I mean, everyone wants your glory. No one wants your story.
Yes.
Yeah. They want to know, like, they'd like to be you right now, but they don't know what it's like to, and we still have it, to have a restaurant that's not full enough, and to have that month-end rents coming down at you, and you're on your own in your shop, and it's tough. They don't want that.
Sure.
So I think it's those hours and the tough times that it's the tough times that forge you, and I've had tough times. Shit, I've had tough times. So the more tough times you have, the more you realize that self-aggrandizement, that needing to be recognized, that's all crap.
It's all for nothing, really.
It's all for nothing, man.
If you die today, tomorrow they won't even remember.
They won't remember. It's like, I love this analogy. So if this is your glass of happiness, okay, boom. Say you've never flown on a plane before. In your life, you've never flown on a plane. All right. The first time you fly on a plane, your happiness glass is going to be full.
Yes.
Boom. Because you're flying. The plane goes up and you're like, I can't believe I'm in this tin can and it's above the ground. And then you fly often. You get a job that flies you often. And you're flying, and suddenly your happiness glass is not full anymore because you're used to it.
Sure.
And then you make enough and you start flying business class. And boom, you're happy. You're full again. Your cup is full. You start flying business class. and then it starts to get depleted. It's not as full as it was, you know. And then maybe you fly first class, cool, and then boom, it's happy. And then it gets, no matter what I fly, I'm not happy. And then you fly private,
Sure.
you know. Glass is full again, full of happiness, but it depletes, you know. So what you realize is that the things that money can buy never keep you happy.
Yeah.
Never. Like an airline ticket or a car or whatever it is, it's never going to keep you happy. And then it becomes, it transverses from a money game into a power game. The people that accumulate mad wealth become power hungry because money can buy anything. Now it becomes a power move.
Yes.
And even the power move doesn't keep them happy. The only thing that keeps you happy is your family and your values and your morals and your respect for yourself and for others, especially family. This glass will always be full for the things that money can't buy. And you know what? Walking into a room and have people know you, that's like money.
Yeah.
It's not going to keep you happy. I don't give a shit for that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it's hard times that make you realize that, and that analogy. That's what you realize when you got your back against the wall and you let down by friends who're not loyal, you know, and you're on your own. And that's the shit that you realize.
You just said now that you've been through tough shit.
Yeah.
What exactly does tough shit look like for Shawn? What have you been through? I had my rugby career taken away from me when I was young. On physical, I broke my neck when I was 22. That was hard. I was in a career that I hated. That was hard. I jumped from that. I've had 17 years in restaurants. I've had times where I couldn't pay rent, where I had no money. I've had my back against the wall. I've started businesses that have, you know, failed, and I've lost everything. You know, and these are things that no one knows about. Yeah. You know, and you're on the streets, man. You're fighting. It's a war out there, and no one knows about this shit. They see maybe me in restaurants and clubs and all this, and I think it's all glamorous. It's not glamorous. It's glamorous if you're in it for all the wrong reasons. Yes.
You know,
or if you're washing money.
Yeah.
But
there's better ways to wash money. You know, we can get into them now if you want. Not that I do that.
I was going to say, tell us more.
I don't wash money.
Yeah.
But there's way better ways.
Sure.
But so it's those times, like, it's, you know, those are the tough times. I've been scammed. I just got scammed now.
Weren't you scammed in some mine deal in the Northern Cape?
You know, yeah. No, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't scammed.
Okay, what happened?
Shit.
Are you able to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk about anything. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I had this gut feel that I wanted to dip my toe into mining, and an opportunity came up in the Northern Cape. So in the Northern Cape, you get an area called Sansabani. Okay. Postmansberg is the area.
Yes.
And then Sansabani. So if you want to know what hell looks like, go to Sansabani. You'll see it. Anyway, there's this mining right there for iron ore and manganese that was just, they were pick and shoveling it. They weren't doing anything with it.
Yeah.
They didn't have the resources. And I had a look at, that's it, like I spoke about being a CA. You know.
Yeah. You crunched the numbers.
Yeah. I did. I learned that if you don't know enough about a business, make sure that you can drive there. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't have to get on a plane.
And then drive further.
Okay, because it's a 2-hour flight to Kimberley and then a 2-hour car drive to Postmansberg.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That's just stupid. And that ultimately is the reason that cost me the mine. So I didn't own the mining rights, and that's another lesson for entrepreneurs. Own the asset. Don't have a contract that allows you to explore the asset.
Oh yes.
You must own the asset. And I didn't. So we went to these guys, and we struck an agreement with them that we would have a life of mining rights agreement. And we would mine it on behalf of them and then give them a royalty per ton of iron ore manganese that we sold. And then I took this mine from literally nothing. In 2 years, I'd signed an offtake with Score Metals. And we had a mine up and running,
Yeah.
And we were just before COVID. And then the shareholders saw what we had done and forged my signature at Cipra and removed me as a director, took the bank account.
You are shitting.
Yeah, I took the mine.
Wow.
And then systematically destroyed it. But I won in court. They owe me a shit ton of money. But
I was going to say, obviously what they did is illegal.
Yeah, well.
So what does the recourse look like in a situation like that?
Well, it went to arbitration because that was as per the agreement, which I won. So the seed capital that I put in, they now owe me.
So did they admit that they fucked around? And
no, I never admitted it. There was arbitration. It's like a civil claim.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I could have taken them and laid a criminal charge against them. But then you would need like handwriting experts and all this type of shit. But it was just like, it was such a bad experience. I'm still involved there, trying to get the money out. But if you can't drive there, guys, then at least know exactly about the asset that you're getting into. I don't know. I mean, I've been parties and flipping burgers and selling champagne. What do I know about iron ore and manganese? Now I know a lot. I know a lot now. And
did you have anyone representing you on the ground at the mine?
No one with my best interest at heart.
I was going to say.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one. So the answer is no. There were people there, but pretending to have my interest. That didn't. Yeah, I had to go litigious, which I won.
Now you're waiting for your money.
Yeah, now it's in it's in provisional liquidation now.
Yeah.
I'm liquidating that thing. But then you still don't get your cash out. So we're dancing.
Would you go back into mining?
Never.
Yeah.
I'd have ample opportunities all the time. Mining is like, it's surrounded by cowboys and criminals.
It's wild. It's
wild.
It's literally the Wild West.
And the more shiny the commodity, the more cowboys and criminals there. You know what I mean? From diamonds to gold to chrome, in that order.
Yeah.
So I went, I know, I mean, it's ugly.
Yeah.
Still cowboys and criminals there. People think it's the pot of gold they're going to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a quick buck. If you do make a quick buck, guys, it's not going to last.
And there are a ton of moving parts, including the community, including so-called forums that want to cut for doing nothing.
I had a community meeting there to try and get the community on my side when we started that mine.
Yeah.
And some guys arrived with Shambach. There's like 200-300 people there, and it was me, my lawyer.
Yeah.
There's a black guy called Mzikisi, and then there's other black guy. I was the only white guy there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, you're going to run faster than me if this shit goes south. I said to Mziki's like, we're getting the fuck out of here, Shawn. I'm like, no, we're not running, bro, because you're going to be quicker than me. And I said, they're going to catch me. They only want one of us. They're going to catch me. I said, we can... And I was like, let's pray, everybody.
Yeah. As soon as they bow their heads.
Yes, just bow our heads. Close your eyes and we can gap it. Yeah. It was scary. I thought we were going to get lynched.
Yeah.
Oof.
How did the community receive you guys initially?
They were. You know what? We didn't speak shit. We said the money we make, we're going to share.
Yeah.
So we fixed up the schools. We did some cool stuff. Way more than the actual shareholders did when they destroyed that mine. They stopped giving, man. We were doing some cool stuff there, which any business should do. I think if you're not from that area and you go in there, you mustn't exploit. You must uplift
At the very least.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like this construction. I'm gonna say some controversial shit, but there's the construction mafia that's causing havoc. They get a bad rap. Now that what they're saying is like, look, 30% of the unskilled requirements here must come from the locals. I believe in that.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah.
100%. You mustn't go there. You mustn't get these. And
why would you exploit our land?
Yeah, you get these big conglomerates
but
coming
leave
in.
nothing.
Yeah. And they come in and they take. You must uplift that place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and we said that to the community, and we did it.
Yeah.
But I got handled there.
Sure.
I got badly handled.
Running Rockets 101.
Yeah.
What are the 5 lessons that you've learned from this baby of yours that is going to be 18 soon, right? Is 18 already?
No.
Yeah.
18 on the 5th of December.
Exactly.
5 p.m.
We're having a party in December, guys.
Yeah, we're going to have a big one. 18 years. I promised myself when I started this thing, I'm like, not more than 15.
Yeah.
And I'm in 18th year. But I love my brand. I love what I do.
Mm.
You know, the 5 lessons. We touched on one.
Yeah.
You must get into it for the right reasons, you know. And if you're in business to make money.
Sure.
You know. And if you want to make money, don't shit where you eat. You know. Don't party at your shops. I will for my birthday, my own birthday, because.
In fact, your birthday party the other day, it was the first time I saw you partying at a Rockets.
Yeah.
Often you are business.
I'm always business. I don't believe that you should be drinking at your club.
Yeah.
You know, I don't believe in that. I don't say, and there's other owners that do, and good for them. If it works for them, it works for them.
But you're also running the risk of your own stuff undermining you.
You know, Fresh, it's like if you're drinking, you're not watching.
Yeah.
Okay. And I firmly believe that if customers come to your shop, they deserve the best of you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They're paying to have a great experience. If you yourself are drinking, it means your staff cannot be operating at their optimal. And therefore, your customer is getting shortchanged because he's not getting the best out of that environment.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
He's just not getting it. So don't party where you work, number one. Get into hospitality for the right reasons. Number two, because if you don't, you're going to get caught out.
Yes.
Because you're going to drink at work. You know, you're going to have bottles come to you. You're going to take up the best place in the club.
Sure.
You know, which is not nice for your patrons. Like, why? Why would you do that? It just it makes no sense. Just embrace the unglamorous. So you must count and clean and cook to recipe. Yeah. Every single day. You know. So
no shortcuts.
No shortcuts. And I can say this because most club owners are lazy. You know, the restaurants are lazy. So if we close at 4 a.m., we count and we clean until 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the team will get in at 9, the new team. They will recount and re-clean from 9 to 11. So by the time we have closed at 4 a.m. and open at 11, the shop, the entire shop, everything in the shop from teaspoons to lime cordial has been counted twice. And the shop itself has been cleaned twice. You know, that's why my shops, they can be 8, 9, 10 years old. They still look brand new.
And they don't smell like old butts.
They smell brilliant because they are clean. Cleanliness is next to godliness. You know? So we count and we clean every single day and we cook to recipe every single meal. Yeah. You know what I mean? So then those are 3. The fourth rule is you're only as strong as your team. That's a big one, man. And I've been hurt by that. You know, it's really the hardest part about hospitality is that you give up your nights and your weekends. You know, it's hard enough when you own the environment. You're giving up your nights and your weekends. I don't come to work and party. So for me, it's work. Yes. You know, when I'm leaving my family at home every night and I'm going to work. I'm not going to party. So it's difficult. You know, it's really tough. Now I must find people to work in that environment on your behalf. So it means the talent pool is pretty shallow. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's one thing doing it for your own brand. It's another thing doing it for someone else's. Like, okay, cool. I'm going to work in that guy's shop and that guy's business and his club, and I'm leaving my family behind. Yes. Or if he's a single guy, you know what I mean? I'm like now getting older. I don't have opportunities to meet people because I'm always working and stuff. Yeah. So to find people, good employees really love hospitality. You have to love it. The same way you love music and DJing. There's people out there, however scarce they are, that love this business. Yeah. And you need to find those and you need to reimburse and reward them, you know, in such a way that they don't feel resentful. Sure. Because sooner or later that resentment might kick in.
Yeah. You know? Look after your people, they'll look after you.
Yeah. To a certain extent. If you've got a flawed individual that's in your employ and if he's high up, you into shit like I had. Yeah. You know, and that's, you know, fish rots from the head. And, you know, that went all the way down the line and that's when I got hurt. But, you know, you're only as strong as your team and you must go to war with your team every day, you know. And then the 5th lesson is you got to love what you do. I was a CA, but I was a shit CA because, because I could have been good, you know, but I didn't love it. Yeah. And if you love what you do, follow your passion with what you do. The money will come. Don't chase the greenback or don't chase the cash. Chase what you love to do, and you will innovate within that space. Yeah, and the success will come from that. Sure, you know.
You alluded to this before you gave us your 5th point about when you have a rotten manager. There's nothing you can do, regardless of how well you pay them. If they're rotten, they're rotten. You had guys that were running a parallel economy to yours. Care to share about that and how this happened? Because I've heard about it. Where, in fact, there was a place I went to, I think it was in Sunninghill, where the waiter had asked me if I want to give him cash with a bottle, meet him by the toilet. I didn't know what the fuck was going on until the guy I was with told me that, no, these guys take stock and they sell it for themselves. So they bring in their own bottles. And you think stock is not moving because it's still there, but they've been selling bottles.
Yeah. It was that stock. It's a syndicate that works.
Yeah.
So I think there's actually a group of guys that headed up in Mabaneng. They'll put managers into a shop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So they even have like HR.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So they give these guys Yoko machines.
Yeah.
It all started with e-wallets, really.
Sure. Yeah.
But what happens is, so you as a business owner are paying full rent, full salaries, full DJ fees. All the expenses are yours. And then you have a syndicate that comes in, and it's generally made up. So the food and beverage manager will be complicit, a senior manager will be, and then a couple of waiters, barman, runners. So the full chain is there.
But they're all from the same place, or do they recruit along the way?
They're from a certain country, most of them.
Okay.
But that's what happens. And then they come in with the Yoko machine.
Did I hear you say Zim? Okay, no, yeah, carry on.
Yeah. Can I say that? Most of them are. Fuck it.
Yeah.
They are. So they will come in and they will know exactly how this works.
Yeah.
So whether they bring their own bottles in initially or they sell your bottles, and then there will be a list of what they've sold. And then the next morning they'll replenish. So the accounts balance.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're like a parasite sitting on top of your business.
Yes.
Taking 30, maybe a little bit more, 35, 40% of your turnover on a night, especially when you're not there. And they will take that. So your stock counts balance.
Yes.
Everything balances because they're bringing their stock in. But you're not going to pick it up on an invoice, and not on a goods received voucher. You're not going to pick it up on a statement. It's not going to be on your point of sale. It's a ghost transaction that comes in and out of your business with no record, no paper trail, no nothing. You have to see it working to catch it, or I could feel it. They started when I started building Durban, and I could feel it. And the guys, my trusted guys, the ones I was.
So when you say you can feel it, like it's what? We've had like such a busy night, but it doesn't reflect on the books.
Footfall versus turnover, it stops making sense.
Yeah.
But you must understand your GPs and your cost of sales ratios are still in line because what you're selling, you're buying, and then you're selling what you're buying.
Yes.
But your turnover is going down.
Sure.
Like this.
Doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. Like I've got defeats, and then the answers be like, no, it's a cost of living crisis.
Yeah. They drank water.
Lots of savannas tonight.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm like, bullshit, lots of savannas. So it ended up being across the group. There was 38 people involved in this group, and my top 6 guys. Yeah. These guys are.
Who do you trust if your top 6 guys are not?
The guys that I was saying, boys, I can feel it. There's something going on. There's Yoko machines. Yeah, I know it. I can feel it.
So you were talking to the very guy.
To them. Wow. They were the guys who were perpetuating it against me.
How did you catch them? What was the moment where you realized, aha?
You know a thief.
Yeah.
Okay. A thief is inherently greedy. And they resort to factory settings all the time. Yeah. So even the thief, when he's got a good thing going like that, he will get tired of buying his own bottles.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
because now they want to push further.
They want to
because we pushed it here.
Because they don't like legitimate business. You know what I mean? I have to. What do you mean I have to buy it and then sell it? I just want to sell something that I didn't have to buy.
Exactly.
That eventually takes over in them. They get greedy.
Yeah.
So these guys, I mean, we book 300 DJs a month. Every DJ gets 1 or 2 bottles. So.
Oh yeah, and also on behalf of the industry, thank you.
You're welcome.
You actually give more gigs to more DJs than most places in this country.
As a group, we sell the most champagne as a group.
Yeah.
And we book the most DJs as a group.
Yeah.
And if
so thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Vice versa.
Yeah.
And if we open Cape Town, we'll probably be on 380 DJs booked every single month.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So we're very culture driven. I mean, we love what we do. But what they started doing was they didn't want to buy their own bottles. So
now they want to suck the blood.
Yeah, they really want to wring the sponge. So what they were doing was they would say, okay, cool. say freshest rider, let's say, is, let's just say it's a bottle of Hennessy, VSOP, and a bottle of Don Julio. Okay. So they would the senior manager would put through 2 bottles of Hennessy, VSOP, and 1 bottle of Don Julio. The Hennessy and the Don Julio goes to Fresh in his bucket. He's happy. The 1 bottle of Hennessy goes over here.
It's their stock.
It gets promoed immediately. So I don't pick it up if I open the table.
Yeah.
So 3 bottles have gone out and not 2. 3 are getting promoted. But now this is a bottle that I've purchased. Remember? So now they've got this bottle in reserve. Then they wait for a client who has a bottle of Hennessy VSOP on his table. So his table is 10,000 Rand and that bottle costs 3,000. So then he leaves a 1,000 Rand tip. So he spars for 11,000. Then the manager will come and they'll void off that bottle of Henny.
Jeez.
So the bill goes down to 7. The tip goes from 1,000 to 4,000. And then we pay out that tip that night. So their tip started to go like this.
Yeah.
And then I watch, because I'm an accountant, I watch my GP ratios. Now I'm having the spend.
Yeah.
And not the result in turnover.
Sure.
So my cost of sales on beverage was climbing from 33 to 34 to 35. And I'm like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
You know? So then they kind of picked up that I was catching on. What they then started doing was over ordering.
Okay.
And then sending back mad credit. So then they would send backs. Every week they would create huge volumes. So then my accountant would not know what to pay. So they would give her the amount to pay. So I wasn't, and then my GPs came back in line again. But what was happening was my book with my suppliers was increasing. And then I got a call, boom, from one of them.
Yeah.
And I've been with my suppliers for 18 years.
Yeah.
Like they're 17 years. And some of them are my best friends. Now, like, we know that you're building Durban and you've got a cash flow crisis. I'm like, what cash flow crisis? No, you know, that guy told us that we just need you need a bit of space, but your bill with us is at 4 million Rand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I pay every week. What do you mean 4 million Rand? No, you owe us 4 bar.
Wow.
And that's how it broke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because all of a sudden I owed my supplies and I don't owe anyone ever.
So what do they say when you bust them? Is anyone in jail?
I did 100 lie detector tests. I did lie detector tested the whole business.
Yeah.
And then 40 of them failed. And then they ran.
Jeez, okay.
They ran like skunks. Yeah. One is in Cape Town now at Bungalow, the main one.
Yeah. So have you alerted Bungalow?
Yeah, no, I think I was there.
Yeah.
But then I just thought, you know, I believe firmly in karma.
Sure.
And because it was the majority of their own stock, I didn't have enough proof.
Sure.
So I had the dockets ready to arrest the top 6. But it was going to be a fight and then more than likely unsuccessful.
Sure.
And I would spend I believe that you must look forward, not back. If you start looking, it's like, don't look at your competitors too much, because if you're looking outside, you're not looking inside.
Yeah.
If you're looking backwards, you're not looking forwards. And forwards is where success is, not backwards.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought, you know what, if their karma's coming for them, man, and it's going to be big. If I deliver some of that karma myself, it means their karmic retribution on a heavenly basis will be lessened. So let God take care of them in his own time. He is already. None of them are where they were.
You know, there's the cliched once bitten, twice shy. How do you rehire after being disappointed wholesale like that? And how do you rehire differently?
It wounds you. I'll never be the same.
Yeah.
I was, you know, these guys were with me 10, 11 years, some more.
The family, they'd been to your house, bro.
They were at my house literally a month before when my mom was dying and I was in Knysna with her. Yeah. They were doing it to me.
Wow.
You know, that's how low they are. 2 of them, I'm godfather to their kids.
Jeez.
And they were doing it. So how do you...
So you resigned as godfather?
Yeah, I did. I'm like, you know, the godfather status, fuck you. You know, so you can't, you know what, you can't let them change you, because then they really win. Yeah. You know, you can let them make you wiser. So, you know, a little bit more gun shy.
But the essence of who you are.
The essence, they mustn't take that from you, because then they really win.
Yeah.
They will never change me, man. And I'm a good person. And if I love too much and I get hurt too much, then so be it. Yeah. You know, because one day I'm not going to lie on my deathbed like Steve Jobs with regrets. You know, but yeah, I let God's karma take care of them. We still survived. We're stronger than ever. So they didn't win, did they?
Sure.
They lost. They're not in the Rockets family anymore. and they feel it.
Now, you started with one restaurant.
Yeah.
Nice, humble beginning. And
it was an automate car garage
yes,
in Rivonia.
Yes.
In Rivonia Boulevard. It was the only guy that would give me a look in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When do you know that it's time for the next one? Or to add a grooming shop?
When I get bored.
Ah, okay. So it's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I get bored. That's as simple as it is. And I get bored easy.
Yeah.
I mean, in 17 years, I've opened 16 shops. Some of them were salons. Some of them were smaller restaurants. There's 3 mega venues. Like, I lost 7 stores in COVID.
Yeah.
And coming out of COVID, I went, small store, big headache, big store, big headache. Let me just do big stores.
Sure.
So I just do mega venues now, like 1,000 squares and up. Branston's 1,800 squares.
Yeah.
But you know what? You like, you wait. I call it ORO. ORO. Opportunity, resource, objectivity. So you put it out there, you know what I mean? And you manifest that opportunity, and you can manifest it by your actions. I can get in my car now. Say, I want to move mainland. I'm going to get in my car tomorrow, and I'm going to drive to Hazelwood. I'm going to drive to Atterbury. I'm going to drive there, and I'm going to knock and beat down doors and speak to commercial brokers, and I will manifest that opportunity.
Yes.
Okay. Then I need to make sure I've got the resources to capitalize on that opportunity when it comes. And then finally, and most importantly, I need to be objective when I look at that business. And I need to crunch the numbers. Best, middle, medium, worst case scenario. If it still works on worst case scenario, then I go. But first I got to be bored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Durban Rockets was a massive project.
Yeah, 60 bar.
What's the one thing that made it almost not happen?
We started building. So I had to keep the foundations the same. I couldn't go out of it, and that building used to be, what was that restaurant before? So I took over as Dante's when I got there. And beforehand there was that French bistro, whatever it was. But the building was pretty fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like old Durban buildings.
Yeah. No, it was a mess.
Yeah.
And then we started doing this beautiful venue. And I'd had an engineer spec an initial sign-off that we started, and then he came in and he said, the building's not going to sustain what you're trying to do here.
Jeez.
And this landlord was giving me 0 TI.
Yeah.
Yeah, so TI, for those who don't know, is a tenant installation allowance. So a landlord will give you, if you really want your brand in there, he'll give you a TI. Now, the landlord for Durban Beach Club, he lives in the Algarve in Portugal. He's like, you're getting nothing. You're not getting 1 day free rent.
Yeah.
And you're not getting 1 rand from me in terms of your TI. What you want to do in that building, you do in that building, but you pay your rent.
Yeah.
And I was into that space. And then the engineer said, I'm not signing this off anymore.
Jeez.
You need to make it structurally sound. To make that building structurally sound was 15 million rand.
Over and above the initial budget.
Over and above the initial budget.
Jeez.
So we had to buy the business for 15 and we were putting 30 in. And we were tapped out there. Then we had to find another 15. It's like when I built Parkhurst in 2012.
Yeah.
I didn't have money to build Parkhurst. And I had a Spanish wife. I had a 3-week-old baby girl. I'd sold my house to be able to afford building Rockets Parkhurst.
Yeah.
And the guy who bought my house was a piece of shit. And he found anything wrong with it he couldn't, and he stalled the sale. So I ran out of money. I didn't have anywhere to live. I had no money, and I had a half-board restaurant and a 3-week-old baby. So you spoke about tough times earlier.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, that's September 2012 was the best month I ever had in Rockets Rivonia.
Yeah.
The best month I ever had. And I managed to pay a little bit like this to these builders.
It came together.
It came together.
Yes.
And I got goosebumps. And we managed to make it through. The same with that. And I remember when I was stuck with that 15 million rand unforeseen expense for Beach Club, I remembered that Parkhurst thing.
That I've been here before.
Yeah, I've been here. I know what this feels like.
Yes.
And I trust the process. Yeah. We found a way and we're good.
What is the secret to Durban's success?
Everybody was going to Cape Town.
Yeah.
So that was the start of its success. Is that the Durbanites love the fact that we went like to Durban and not to Cape Town. We went east and not south.
Yeah.
You know, so there's already like there's a love for rockets in Durban. It's a special kind of love, you know. It's an appreciation because Durban was just ignored for so long, and it's such a beautiful city, you know. And there's something special about Durban, and for me, I'm a Durbanite.
Sure.
So they also
You went home. You went home.
Yeah, I went home.
Yeah.
And I still feel I love Joburg. Yeah. I adore Joburg. But when I get off the plane in Durban, there's a big essence of my home is where my family is. My family's in Joburg. But I grew up in Durban. You know, so the success was written there before I even started. The mere fact that, and then we changed the game in Durban. You know, Durban had 2 or 3 players that were just using Durban DJs.
Yes.
Apart from the July weekend, no one was bringing DJs in.
Yeah.
And we were like, fuck this, we can do it every single weekend.
Yeah.
And we do.
Yeah.
And now they all had to do the same thing every weekend. So we changed the game there.
Yeah.
And you know, the Durbanites appreciate that. And then just the way it's built. That was I designed that shop from scratch.
Sure.
And I took everything that I've learned and I didn't make it too big. I didn't make it small. I made it so every single square meter in that space
makes sense.
Yeah. You know, and there's pressure on everyone in that space to pop.
Sure.
You know, the sound is good. No, it's just that's one of my that's a masterpiece there.
Now you are looking at possibly Cape Town.
Yeah, I got one more in me.
Yeah.
One more. I'll build one more.
Now, when you go into a new territory, as it were, how do you deal with the politics of new area, new rules,
gangsters,
old players, gangsters, protection, rackets? How do you navigate all of that? Because it's there.
Yeah, it's there in spades.
Yeah.
You got to be humble.
Yeah.
Number one.
Do you have to kiss anyone's ring? Like, how does it work?
No, fuck yeah, I wouldn't go. I'm kissing shit. You got to you got to be cognizant of what's out there. That was the downfall of a yep there. They didn't do their DD. Their due diligence. They didn't do it there.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, prostitution and extortion are the 2 oldest trades.
Sure.
You know, but you got to respect the way things are done. You got to respect the locals. You got to use certain services that they provide. You have to know what you're getting into. You have to have preliminary meetings. You know, you have to. You can't just go there and build.
Don't just be, because I've got the money, I can do it.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That arrogance will be your downfall. And the last thing we are is arrogant. You know, and if you think I'm arrogant, you don't know who the fuck I am, man.
Yeah.
I'm not arrogant at all. I'm humble and I'm hardworking, you know, and I'm street smart.
Sure.
So if we go to Cape Town, those moves have been made.
I was going to say, when do you think we could expect Cape Town to go up? All things being equal.
I don't know. A lot of things would have to slide into place. You know, with this one, because it'll be my last one, I'm quite a fatalist about it. You know what I mean? I leave it up to fate. It might not be in Cape Town.
Sure.
It might be in Mpumalanga, you know?
Or Spain.
No, never. Never.
It's like, baby, I'm going to build the last one for you.
No. Number one, I'm not romantic like that. And number 2, to build in Spain, you need euros.
Yeah. Tons of them.
Tons of them.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, I've built rockets and, you know, the culture that surrounds it. For me to start again overseas, you know, within Africa is different, you know. It's the land that I grew up in. I understand it.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand Europe to a certain extent, but do I have the inclination and the drive and the desire to go and start there? Nope. No, I don't.
I'd like to plant a Zanzibar seed in your head.
Yeah.
This in Zanzibar would fucking fly. I firmly believe.
Is it not too seasonal there?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
You're not the first person who said that to me.
I mean, I was in Zanzibar in January. I've been there before. I think it was my 3rd visit. And there's nothing like this, really.
Yeah.
Even just for the locals.
Yeah.
And the way there are people with money to burn on this continent, they would go literally for a weekend to Zanzibar just to be at Rockets. I can guarantee you that much.
Okay.
Capitalize on the new money. Oaks with new money are dumb and they'll blow it.
Yeah, no, I like those guys. Bring me your dumb new money.
Not good for business, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate you. No, like, I mean, there's a part of me that thinks that, this continent needs our own hard rock,
Yes. Yeah.
and we'll never turn our back on food. And I love how good our food is, but we've got a very strong entertainment arm.
Yeah.
So it's like a new age hard rock-esque.
Let's talk about the business model of the nightlife side of Rockets, because a lot of venues, for instance, wouldn't bring in as many outside DJs as Rockets does, for argument's sake. Many places might have 3 or 4 residents, and then they'll bring in maybe once or twice a month, just a sprinkle of, we're spoiling you this week. But with you guys, every weekend is a fucking party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't charge entrance.
Let's talk about the business model and why you possibly took the risk in adopting that business model.
People, and it's funny that you mentioned washing cash earlier, because people think that we wash money.
Yeah.
And because how do we get these lineups and pay for these lineups? We don't wash money.
It's relationships.
Yeah, it's relationships. And what we good at what we do.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I said it earlier, we count and we clean and we cook to recipe. We count everything twice.
Yeah.
Every single day. You know what I mean? I don't have pilfering. I don't have wastage. I don't have that. So what we sell, we make money on, and I believe in giving it back.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Mr. Beast thing. When he spends money on his episodes, and that generates some views and gets money. I spend money on my clients.
Yeah.
I build beautiful spaces. I believe in spoiling people that come to your venues with the best artists like yourself that they don't have to pay entrance fee to. They don't have to wait all the time to get to, and with that service, I'll get it back.
Sure.
I'll get it back by patronage and loyalty, and it's been tough because a lot of people now. There's a lot of players in our game with guys who are washing money, and a lot, and it makes it tough for us because we do good hard business.
Sure.
And we pay for it out of profits. We look at DJ fees as a franchise fee.
Sure.
It's
a line item.
Yeah. But a lot of these guys out there, they're washing cash, and they're using cash to pay for these lineups. So if they just had to do it with the money that they make, they wouldn't be able to cope.
Yeah.
They only exist because they're washing. And that's unfair competition for us.
Sure.
But it is what it is. Life's not always.
But you're still bobbing and weaving through it.
Yeah, we still,
No, because I was speaking about loyalty earlier on, and the fact that you're able to build relationships and capitalize off of those relationships.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had an argument with some venue. I don't know how they found out how much I invoice Rockets. And I told them I have a relationship with Rockets.
Yeah.
You're booking me for the first time.
Yeah.
So how dare you even say, but how come Rockets pay this amount, but you're not charging me that amount? I'm like, because they've earned it.
That's got nothing to do with it.
And I even said to him, I even do free gigs at Rockets once in a while because that's the relationship we have.
Yeah. And you family. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been overseas together.
Yeah.
You've been playing at Rockets for 7 years, and the DJs out there that are good to us and we're good to them, we book at least once a month, every single month without fail.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure we tick it off.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, cool.
Oh, yes. Tomorrow night I'll be at Rockets in Menlyn, by the way.
Yes, you
it's
will,
come
by the
through.
way.
Yeah.
No, it's on Saturday.
Sorry, this is going out Friday.
Oh, yeah, sorry. This is my first podcast. That's why I'm number 200.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So Fresh, you'll be with us in Menlyn. And exactly that point. You know what I mean? And with the best DJs, and I see it in you. You know what? Like Keenan was another one.
Yeah.
It's a very good friend of mine. Always delivered.
Yeah.
And it's, you have that relationship with them. They are professional to their core.
Sure.
Doesn't matter how tired you are. You could come from Botswana and you haven't slept in 24 hours. I know that you're going to bring it. And AK was the same. The best DJs are this. And the best DJs are the ones that last. If you go on my beneficiaries list on my bank account, the DJs that I paid 3 years ago, 90% of them you won't see.
Sure.
That's how hard the industry is right now. You know what I mean? But the top 10, they're there. And we're good with them. And I believe in supporting them.
Speaking of Keenan, like while we're here, I remember, I mean, you and Keenan had a relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, he was family.
Yeah, he was.
You lost your mom, what, last year?
Yeah, I lost my mom 18 months ago.
18 months ago.
Yeah.
You literally just lost a friend recently.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me mentioning that.
No, it's okay.
What keeps you going when loss happens like that to you or for you? Some people see loss as an opportunity to be a better person or better enlightened. So
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've suffered loss. But losing my mom was super tough.
yeah,
I've had 3 best friends. I've lost 2 out of the 3.
jeez.
So, but I can handle that.
Mm,
I don't think I'd be able to handle losing one of my children.
mm,
You know, I get up and I go to work because of my kids.
yes.
You know, that's I've got a photo of them in my wallet.
Mm,
There's times when I've got a leopard crawl to work. Sometimes it's tough.
yeah.
You know, but you know, loss is a part of life that you can't put your head in the sand like an ostrich and pretend it's not going to happen. It's going to come for you.
Mm,
You know, and you don't understand how fragile life is.
mm,
You know, when my mom died in my arms, and she was 73. Like her battery had been going for 73 years. You know what I mean? And within 20 minutes, she was cold.
mm,
You know, it's hard for me to talk about, but and I was like, that's how fragile life is. So you must understand the fragility of life, and life is a gift.
mm,
You know, and our children are not ours; they're God's, and they're a gift to us. So I just focus on how blessed we are. You know, and I think you programmed to lose a parent. It's going to happen. It's the order of life. And you unfortunately will more than likely lose a friend or 2 along the way. But I've accepted that. For me, death is transitory. You know, I believe in lifetimes and I believe souls travel together. I believe we're all one religion. I think God gave us different religions to realize Him. Some people need to be a Christian. Some people need to be Muslim. Some people need to be this. You know what I mean? It's all going after one end result, God willing, you know? So people come into your life and then unfortunately they might pass too early, but it is life. And I've accepted that. That's how I keep going, you know? That's how I go to work. Last Monday, one of my best friends died. I was at work on Tuesday, you know? So it happens.
What's the last thing Mom said to you?
Yeah. So it was tough because she phoned me. I was at work, and so she got sick, and they gave her 6 years with slow acting cancer, and then it was literally from her diagnosis to her dying was 4 months.
Jeez.
But like the last month, she just went like this, and then my brother flew out from London, and he said, "You got to get here." So I was leaving on Friday morning to get there, and she phoned me on Thursday, and I was busy, man. I was busy. And I said, "Mama, I'll call you back." And she said, "I just want to hear your voice." So I said, I'll call you back now. And I called her back 2 hours later, and she was in a coma by then.
Jeez, bro.
Yeah. So I got there, and then when I got there, she was in and out. She knew I was there, but I wasn't able to speak to her. You know, but so I see her now. You know. But people, like I said, that's loss. That's hard loss. But there's people out there that have lost a child, and wow, you know, I can't imagine that. My heart bleeds for those people. It really does, because that is something I don't think I could handle. You know,
lasting lessons from Mom. What's the one?
to love completely. You know, and not expect anything in return. Because if you can love like that, then that's true love.
Yes.
You know, and so few people know how to do that. You know what I mean? And she could do that. She could do it. I think she's got a high position wherever she is now, you know. But she was hurt a lot in her life because she loved like that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? She loved like that. So that was a lesson, you know. And I try to love like that. We make mistakes. Sure. We fall short every day, but if you can aim for that, you're on the right track.
What's the one parenting lesson from mom that you apply with your kids? Because we were beaten. Nowadays, kids don't get beaten.
Yeah. I pissed my mama one time and she threw a broom at me like a javelin. I was like, shit.
Yeah.
She's got an arm on her.
Yeah.
You know, it was just you know what my mom said to me? She said, you never let my hand go.
Yeah.
You know, she said, you were never embarrassed to hold my hand. You know, and if my kids can do that with me, then
yeah.
You better edit this out. But I think if you're a parent and you have that relationship with your kids, that they will hold your hand in front of their friends.
Yes.
You got something special there. And if you don't get it, don't begrudge them for it, because you know they're kids.
They're going through their own journey.
They're going through their own journey,
stuff.
and there's peer pressure and stuff out there. But I was lucky enough to hold on to my mom's hand.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Because I intentionally tell my kids, especially in front of their friends, that I love them.
Yeah.
And so it's our thing.
Yeah.
Even dropping off at school, regardless of the age, a hug, I love you. And with my 9-year-old, I do it so often. Even his friends now will tell me, we love you, Uncle Fresh.
Yeah.
Because I've made it a thing that we tell each other that we love each other.
You can never say it too many times. I
we
mean,
show each other that we love each other.
My 11-year-old boy now, he before I came here, I was at a athletics thing for him. And in front of the whole crowd, he got up in between the chairs like this in front of the entire stadium and gave me a kiss. Yeah. And gave me a hug. Yeah. You know? My world stops turning when that happens. So he will say over everyone, I love you, Dad, you know. Yeah. My daughter, she's 13, so right now I'm not getting that enough, but she will. She will when I don't buy her car when she's 18.
Dude, my daughter's 16, and I'm like, geez, I'm glad she's still kind of fine with holding my hand in public. Yeah. You know, we have a thing where when we're walking, she'll say, Dad, give me your finger. And then she'll hang on to my pinky and we'll walk with her holding my finger. That's cute. But I do it on her terms, though. Yeah. Because I'm like, I don't want to embarrass you. So you tell me when you want us to hold hands.
100%. I dropped my daughter off at a social like the other week, and I said, walk in front of me if you want. I just want to make sure you're in safe.
Exactly.
And she was like, no, you can walk next to me. Yeah, thanks. Like, thank you so much. Yeah.
Are you enjoying parenting?
I love it.
Because you speak fondly of your kids.
I love them.
Yeah.
So you know what? I said to friends who about to have their first, and I'm like, no, you're going to experience like really what life's about now.
It's a different trip.
It's a different trip. It makes everything that you thought important pale into insignificance. You know, and there's people out there that don't have kids, and that's their journey. Sure. And you know, God bless them. But I'm very thankful that I've had 3. You know. So that's my home is my happy place. You know, that's where I recharge.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, that's why I keep it pure.
Sure.
There's no side checks. There's no bullshit. There's no nothing. Nothing will enter my house. And affect what I have. Because that's my happy glass. That's full.
That's your sanctuary
all the time. Yeah. That's my heaven on earth. You know. Absolutely. That's why I don't need to walk into a room and have people know who I am. I don't care. It's not what it's about. You know?
And in the bigger scheme of things, they don't give a fuck either.
They don't care.
They don't.
They only care if they can get something out of you.
Often you are only as relevant as what you can give to people.
Exactly.
People don't give a fuck about
your relevance is your usefulness to them at that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you are aware of that, then you have power.
I always say, hang on to the friends that check up on you.
Yeah.
No matter what. They don't just check up on you when things are down, even when things are up.
Yeah. I always used to use the litmus test for me was if I was stuck on the side of the road 4 hours out of Joburg at 3 a.m. on a Monday morning.
Who can I call?
Who would I call?
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And if your name is in that list, it's probably a list of 2 people. But if you're one of them, there is nothing that I wouldn't do for you.
Yeah.
Nothing. There's nothing I won't do for you.
Mm.
You know.
Mm.
So yeah, we'll see. In this business, it's tough because everyone they think, like I said, they think it's so glamorous. Everyone wants to be your friend. You know. But
What happens on bad months? Are you running your stores? Sorry for not segueing out of family, but your stores are part of the family. If, for instance, Bryanston is not making as much as it should have for that month, is it Bryanston's problem or is it Rocket Group's problem? How are you running your business?
It's a little bit of a hybrid answer. So
yeah.
Rule of thumb is if one of your businesses is losing cash,
Yeah.
all right, for 1 or 2 independent months, not consecutive months, you can leverage or use the others to help it.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it consecutively for an extended period of time, you need to cut it.
There's a problem then.
There's a problem.
Yeah.
You got to cut it, and it's hard. And it's especially in a brand. You can't afford to cut one.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You really can't in a brand. If you lose a shop in a brand, especially a flagship shop, people will think that there's rust on that brand.
Oh yes.
You know, something's wrong there. Like and they'll sniff it out. Like, ooh. And then your strong shops will suffer.
Yeah.
So we've been very lucky in going on 18 years. I haven't had that issue. But if I'll be lying if I said to you I haven't had shops along the way that have run in the red on a month. You know, my biggest risk factor is Bryanston. My rent check to landlord was 1.2 million a month.
Jeez.
You know,
Yeah.
in this big beautiful space. I mean, we're sitting in a recording studio underneath the shop. How many people can say that?
Absolutely.
You know, but that comes at a price. So the rule of thumb is if it does happen, it's okay. Don't make it regularly. You got to cut it. You know, you cauterize that wound. Absolutely. Otherwise, it'll bring the whole ship down.
Absolutely. What's room 252?
Duh. I'll tell you that. Next question.
I thought you said nothing is off bounds.
Yeah, you can ask anything. I don't think I'm going to answer it.
Because I've heard about room 252.
Yeah, everyone asks me. Even my staff. Mark, do you know what room 252 is? No, he doesn't. Yeah, no, you're not going to get it. Good try. No.
Okay, so you're not telling.
No, not telling. There's a story behind it.
Yeah.
It's a cool story. But I'm not going to tell you.
Jeez.
If one day I sell and I'm out of hospitality, I'll tell you what room 252 is.
Okay.
It'll be the Last Supper, and then I'll tell you.
Whenever you see Shawn, ask him, what is room 252?
No, don't. Don't. I get asked that all the time. Don't ask me.
We are out of time because we've spoken for an hour and 45 minutes. Those are supposed to be an hour, but it's fine though. I mean,
you can cut it.
No, we're not cutting shit, bro.
You must cut it.
We are cutting nothing.
Cut that emotional one when he was asking mom.
Your story is incredible, and I think the world deserves to hear it, and people deserve to be inspired. There's a lot of people out there doing a lot of work that is of no consequence.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted us to have you on my podcast is because I think you have an incredible story. I think you are part of the culture. You support the culture. And fuck, bro, we got to sing your name from the rooftops, bro.
Thank you, brother. It's a real honor, feather in my cap to be asked to do
and you don't have to, but when you address me, you call me big bro. And you don't have to do that.
I like
but because,
big bro.
but because that's who you are, that's how you treat people.
Yeah. No.
And I appreciate that. And on behalf of the industry and all the players that are part of the ecosystem, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Bro.
And thanks for the support you give us.
Yeah.
The biggest compliment you can give me is when you come and say hello and you're not booked, and you do that all the time. So,
Jeez, I'm here at least once a week.
Yeah.
I'm here once a week, guys, whether I'm working or not.
And I love that. And I'm blessed. And thanks for having me here. It's a real honor.
2 final questions.
Yeah.
What does Shawn Barber fear?
What do I fear?
Yeah.
I think every man has fear. I've got fears.
Yeah.
I fear it might be cliched, but I fear failure.
Yeah.
You know, I fear that this big ship that I built goes down. Hospitality is precarious.
Yeah.
My brother. You know,
Yeah.
it can change on you. You got to keep you said part of the culture. You got to keep at the cutting edge of what you're doing. You got to stay current. We were going for 18 years. It's not easy to stay current when you're 18 years old. You know what I mean? It's we've got a brilliant team that does things, innovative things that keep us there. But it is a fear that, you know, I lose my touch, I lose that sixth sense, you know, and shit goes wrong.
Sure.
You know, I think every man, especially entrepreneurs, have a fear that you lose your business, you lose your house, you know, lose the chance to pay school fees. You know, these are things that men and women entrepreneurially fear.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a corporate, maybe you fear redundancy or they're cutting down the workforce. So for me, if that happens, that'll be a massive failure and the repercussions are huge. And of course I fear that.
Yeah.
I fear that. Fuck, I'd be lying if I said I didn't fear that. You know? So fear of failure is a massive thing. You know, I think if you're passionate about what you do, you're going to fear that.
Sure.
If you don't care about what you're doing and you fail, you don't have any fear for it. So it's not a bad thing. And it's like I say to my kids, don't be scared of being nervous.
Yeah.
If you're nervous, you know it means something to you. You know, if you have a fear of failing, and you know it means something to you.
Sure.
You know,
Just channel that energy.
Yeah, don't let it, you know,
Debilitate you.
Make you impotent. You mustn't let it get to that point, but you can use it. You can use it to work harder than anybody else. You can use it to think clearer, to innovate more, you know, which is what we've done.
Yeah.
You know, which is what we've done. So I'll outwork anybody. You know, maybe not you. You know, work the same. We're always working.
And still raise kids.
And we still raise kids in the family. But we graft, man. I believe men must work. Work is honorable.
Absolutely. Final question.
Yeah.
Often happiness is seen as some sort of currency, but I'm not so much about happiness as I am about peace. Are you at peace?
At times. You know, I don't believe peace is a permanent state.
Yeah.
I think I can realize peace.
How do you protect yours when you're not at peace? Or when you are at peace and you want to protect it?
Look, I'm always fighting some battle. You know, maybe it's just this journey that I'm in, this lifetime. I've always fought a battle. You know, I'm always fighting something. So peace for me is a rare commodity. It really is. But there's times when I feel it. It's hard, you know, in hospitality, it's hard to be at peace because even if you're on holiday, you're still at work.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It never leaves you. You're always checking your cameras or your numbers or making sure, or you're waiting for something that goes wrong. You know, so peace for me is fleeting. I generally find peace at 4 a.m.
Sure.
when I get home. And I'll sit on the grass, you know, under the moon. Then I find peace.
Sure.
But I wake up and the peace is gone. So I get an hour of peace a day. Fuck. No, but it is. I find peace with my kids and my wife.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I don't need anything. Fuck with that. That's my happy place. Peace is where you're happy.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So.
Shawn, thank you very much, brother man.
Thanks, big dog.
We haven't discussed everything that I'd hoped to discuss.
You have to make me number 400.
In part 2, we'll discuss the record label. Just quickly tell us about the record label.
A record label was born out of a passion for South African talent.
Yeah.
You know?
Dance Africa
is
the label.
Dance Africa.
Yeah.
With Jules and Mark, we run it. We bought a recording studio underneath Rockets, Bryanston, where the Dance Africa studio is. And we love, you know, Afro-tech and Afro house. And we are, you know, as a group, we're proud of the sound that we believe emanates from this country, you know. And we tired of people, no DJs mentioned, that take a lot of people's songs and you know, and the small producer that's sitting in his house making music on his computer. We want to give those guys a voice and a platform. So we're in fledgling status here. We're still very new, very young. We're trying to do big things. Sure. But it's born out of, that's why I built Rockets 4 Stories. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I was tired of people saying to me, it was when I was in Parkhurst. Oh, I went to New York, I went to London, and I saw this restaurant, and it's incredible. One day go there and have a look. I said, no one has more talent in this country with our history and the hardships that this country's been through. You know, like pressure creates diamonds. Sure. You know, and our culture and our communities are full of diamonds. And music is one space where we as this tiny country on the bottom of this continent, we can influence the global music sound.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And like I said, we book 300 DJs a month. So we're at the forefront of how music is changing, you know, and how house is morphing into 3-step, or how piano is morphing into 3-step. And you know what I mean? That Afro-tech sound that you see in, or Afro house that you feel in Ibiza and stuff. And you can hear that African element in it, which we love.
And 10 years ago on that island, that sound had no business on any main floor. Like nothing.
Never.
Like nothing.
You know? And now you see like the biggest tech DJ in the world, James Harp, he's starting to bring an Afro house sound into some of his sets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's and that's a South African sound.
True.
You know, what other country's done that? So it's just born out of a passion for the music, for our culture, for the talent that is within South Africans across all denominations, all races. There's a talent there, you know, and there's a oneness there. And the record label's just a beautiful way for us to immerse ourselves in it. You know what I mean?
Again, thank you, bro.
Yeah.
On behalf of the industry.
Thanks, big bro.
I promise I'm done now.
No problem. You can ask me more. I love talking in this.
No, dude, you have like 3 kids at home and how many nationwide?
3 kids at home.
No, but I'm talking about the shops.
Oh, the shops, yeah. Shit. Yeah.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, bro. Save that nugget for the end. No. 3 at home. That's it.
Yeah.
Peace.
Shawn, thank you very much, bro.
Thanks,
Yeah, love you, appreciate you,
too.
and
Appreciate you, bro.
yeah, let's keep going, bro. Like a rocket, up and beyond.
Thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow in Mainland.
Oh shit, yes, Menlyn tomorrow. Come early, book your table.
Yeah.
Come, let's have some fun.
After the Sting concert.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shawn Barber. We'll see you at a Rockets or a Rockets man or whatever else he's working on once he's worked on it, because he will get bored and want to open another something. What it looks like, we still don't know. I don't think he does either, but we'll be there with him when he decides what it is.
Cool.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wow, What a Week, coming to you from Rockets Media downstairs at Rockets in Bryanston. If you want to book this studio, it's an incredible studio. Find them online and make your booking. I'm almost certain they'll be able to make space for you. Okay. Shout out to Trevor and his team at Pezzo the Works for being a part of this, and to the Africa Podcast Network. Email waw@africapodcastnetwork.com. Shout out Keletso Modisa Gang. She is our executive producer. And to you, the most important member of this team. Till next week, have a wow week in spite of yourselves.